I did.
To continue.
Yeah, that,
If what
you
he
know, that
says
was,
true, then it's-
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Maybe.
See you, Ray.
See you, Rick.
See you, Ray.
I thought there was
Adjourned, yeah.
Dennis, would you like to say a prayer before we get started? Come on up. You guys-
Before I pray, this is a good opportunity, I think, to remember the officer and those who were wounded and killed in Colorado Springs. And our officers are out there every day, and sometimes we think, oh, all they're dealing with is the minor things, but their lives are at risk every day. They're out there, and we're grateful for it. And I think it's important that we honor. I'd like to have a moment of silence, if you don't mind, before we pray. And oftentimes an officer has less than a minute to respond. And so let's just take a minute and see how that works. Heavenly Father, I thank you for our first responders, for law enforcement and emergency services. Father, within a minute, so many things can happen, and so many decisions might need to be made, and judgments. And Father, it's difficult, even when they're professionals, it's difficult. So Father, I ask that you would minister to the hearts and the minds and the emotions, Father, of those who've experienced loss here in Colorado Springs. Father, for Officer Swayze, Lord, it's not just these professionals who put themselves on the line, but it is their families, and it is professionals and emergency service people all around who struggle and suffer loss and question decisions, and families and support. And my heart goes out to those who serve us in those times of greatest need, and protect us even from ourselves. Father, there's a great abundance of evil these days that is just manifesting in our society. I just heard about another situation in California, just crazy evil meanness. Father, I pray for our first responders, our law enforcement, their families, their friends. Oh God, I pray that you would honor those who honor our society, honor the people of our communities. And Father, especially in the greatest sacrifice of life. Father, wives and children that will no longer have that partner, that parent, that friend. Lord, help us as a community to be tenderhearted, to be sensitive, to be honoring to those who serve here, to those who keep us safe, to those who protect us from evil, to those who do good and help. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for letting me.
Thank
pray.
you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Nice job. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To Mayor Brown, please.
roll call, or we do,
Mr. Letherland,
here.
do you want to wait?
We need tomato marker.
She's getting the mic. We're good with these.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Letherland,
Here.
Mr. Ashworth, Mr. Zollner,
Here?
Mr. Hazlett,
Here.
Mayor Brown,
Here. Approval of minutes from the prior meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Vote.
Mr. Ashworth is not here. Mr. Zollner,
Yes.
Mr. Letherland,
Yes.
Mr. Hazlett,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes. And there is no public comment this evening. Administrators report, Ray?
All right, Youth Theater, the Christmas Donkey and the Christmas Oleo started this past weekend and will continue through December 27th with their schedule. Gold Camp Christmas, the Victorian Christmas in the Gold Camp, the head frame lighting happened once again this past weekend. The Winter Wonderland, we heard about that from the museum people here earlier this evening. Includes Santa, it's open on the weekends through December 20th. Parks and Recreation, oh darn. I think they had to cancel the shopping trip to Castle Rock for lack of many people. I think they were all shopping here instead of Castle Rock
that'd be
this
nice.
year is what it was. And then Toys for Tots is the 17th. And I'll go ahead and hold any further comment. There's a line item 5 about Toys for Tots. We'll talk a little bit more about that. C-Store project still moving forward. You can see walls going up, sometimes walls coming down. The wind, I think, took a wall out, but anyway, we're back on, and I don't, they're still going to be tough to get open by the end of the year, but they're working hard toward it. Budget, we had another budget meeting tonight, and hopefully we'll adopt the budget tonight as well for 2016. Public Works position vacancy is still open. Steve DiCamillo is doing a great job. We received about 20 applications, currently reviewing those, and be making a decision real quick on whether or not to do phone interviews followed up by personal interviews. Obsolete equipment, the public sealed bid auction, it will close this Friday, December 4th at noon. Everything must be into the clerk's office, is that correct?
Yes,
By noon, and then I think they're going to open them at 1.
1 o'clock here in the chambers.
Going to open them here at 1 o'clock. Police station RFP. Chief Rulo and I we've completed tours of all 3 of the buildings that were submitted for consideration for possible relocation, upgrade of the police station. And given the pricing of the buildings and the remodeling costs that would be associated with those buildings, it's not that the buildings themselves are in disrepair, there's just quite a bit of work that would have to go into turning them into a police station. All of them were former casinos and other such things. And given those costs, it's my recommendation that we're not going to be able to do anything this year. The cost is just too high. But then what we'll do is we'll just continue to evaluate options for location and then possible creative financing to try to get this done. I agree that I think the police station needs an upgrade, needs more space. It is a very tight quarters in there. They do a great job with what they've got. But I think we definitely need to give them a more modern, spacious area. Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving holiday. There weren't very many call-outs, I believe, Steve. The snow kind of held off here. It hit other parts of the state, but not too much happened to where they had to use up too much of their turkey time, I don't think.
Always had a few hours here and there.
Yeah, okay. And then, of course, Friday, the 4th, is coming Friday. We have the city Christmas party. It's at the Double Eagle in the conference center. Begins at 5:30, and dinner begins with, a social time at 5:30. Dinner being served at 6:15. Everybody got their RSVPs in twice. If you submitted them, I resubmitted them for you.
Thank you, sir.
This week, tonight would be today at 2 o'clock would have been the third one, but we had public information meetings for broadband internet and the cell phone study that's currently being conducted, and Cripple Creek is a party to that study. And it went, quite well. It's what we expected. Chris was there, and a few other people from the city were there as well, but we had about 15 people showed up. It's what we expected, not what we had hoped. And then they had meeting last night in Woodland Park. I'm not sure how that went. And then they had one at 2 o'clock at the Florissant Library. And it's really good. So we should know relatively soon. I mean, I would say within the next 6 weeks, we'll have some preliminary cost on what it would cost to equip Teller County with high-speed broadband internet. And there'll be a collective cost, and then there'll be cost for each area. There'll be a cost for what it would do, and what is it that we want to do in Cripple Creek. What do they want to do in Victor? What do they want to do in Woodland Park? And those, we can either choose or not choose to be part of that. To give you an example, I'm going to state some numbers, but I don't want the press to quote them, but they're order of magnitude. But I can direct you to the person that could give you those numbers. But as a for instance, Region 10 around Montrose, in that area in the state, they looked at doing broadband for that area, Region 10. And it was in the neighborhood, to do it from scratch, it was going to be 50 to 70 million bucks. But once they did a study and looked at what was available, what fiber optic did the power companies have? What fiber optic did CDOT have? What fiber optic did emergency services have? And once they looked at all that, and then once they looked at, like, Tri-State donated some fiber optic that they weren't using, they had excess capacity, they got it down to do what they wanted to somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 million bucks. And so once everybody put their money together, each entity got upgraded internet for pennies on the dollar. And so that's why we're doing that. You'll hear negative comments from Peak Internet saying, hey, we can do everything this study's doing, you're wasting your money, $75,000 wasted. Well, that's not true, because Peak Internet is not out there looking at what CDOT's doing. Peak Internet is not going to put fiber optic up UPass. CDOT's looking at doing that. And if they do that, the biggest expense is getting the fiber optic in the ground. And so if the conduits are there and the excess capacity is there, then maybe someday we'll be brought into the 21st century. When you look at the rest of the world, they're paying a little over $1 per megabit of speed. In Colorado, we're paying about $30 per megabit of speed. About 30 times.
And their average is, worldwide average, I think the speed was 55, and our average is 8.
Yeah. And that's upload, download speeds. And if you don't know what I mean by upload, download, when you try download, you sit there and your computer, and the little clock is going around and around and around. Yeah. So anyway, Energy and Mineral Impact Assistant Program application was submitted to the Department of Local Affairs to help supplement the funding for the Telephone Curve realignment, community trails, and safe route to school. We really won't, I don't know how this process goes. This will be the first time I've dealt with a Tier 2. That's a grant between $201,000 and $2 million, and we're right in the middle of that, is what we asked for. So I'll see how that process goes. I'll be working with our regional director on that, but I know that it'll be at least March before the decision is made by DOLA, and probably sometime in March, unlike the Tier 1 grant that we got this year, where they review it, and they do it administratively. They send you a letter and say, here's your money. The city will have to go before